So what's on my mind? Recently, my daughter was part of a Baha'i children class. It was a 4 days long intensive children class where they learned a bunch of things. And I think the theme for that Baha'i children class was learning about progressive revelation and various religions. And at the end of this children class, all the kids, there were about 15 to 20 kids in the class, they had a presentation where they talked about various religions, and my daughter was assigned to talk about Hinduism. So she said a few lines about Hinduism. She did a great job, beautiful presentation. But what bothered me was that she was taught to say that Hinduism was started by Krishna, which is not true. And later on, I was discussing this with my wife, and she mentioned that when she used to teach Baha'i children class, and they also taught the same thing to the Baha'i children in the class, that Hinduism was started by Lord Krishna. So that's why I'm recording this video, to clear that misconception which has been taught in Baha'i children classes all around US, I think, is that Hinduism was started by Lord Krishna. Who started Hinduism? To answer that question, there is not a single person who started the Hinduism. Hinduism existed before Lord Krishna, and it still exists. It's the oldest religion in the world with oldest written scriptures. So why Hinduism wasn't started by one single person? Because Hinduism is not a single ideology. It's a mixture of multiple ideologies coming together and becoming a single religion. So as long as you believe in something, Hinduism finds place for you. Which is a beautiful concept, and it's a hard to explain concept to Western believers, especially believers whose backgrounds are from Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Islam, and in the same family, Baha'i faith. So it's kind of a difficult to explain concept. So I'm going to try my best to explain it. So how Hindu philosophy works is, in spite of what you see, the images and idols of various Hindu gods, they all originate from one single god, and most Hindus believe in one universal god. But how they believe in one universal god is, they believe there is one universal god and there are various forms of that god. So there is a deity for weather, there is a deity for rain, there is a deity for auspicious occasion, there is a deity for wealth, there is a deity for life, there is a deity for death, and so on. So any religious or spiritual concept you could think of, there is a deity for that in Hinduism. But that doesn't mean that these are different gods. They are not. They are form of one single god, one universal god. They are just the representations of that god. As Baha'is, we also believe in kind of a similar idea that God represents everything good and beautiful in the world, and everything bad and evil in the world is the absence of God. So beauty of a rose flower looks beautiful, and that beauty is the representation of God. It provides beautiful fragrance. That fragrance is another representation of God. So the same idea, but little differently, but that idea is represented by various deities in Hinduism. To simplify everything, there is one universal God, and Hindus believe in this concept of Trimurti, or Trinity. It's similar to the Trinity in Christianity, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's similar to that. But that Trinity in Hinduism is represented by three different forms of God: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Brahma is the creator of universe, Vishnu is the operator or the administrator of the universe, and Mahesh is the destroyer of everything evil in the universe. So remember that. There are three different representations of God, three forms of God, but they represent one single trinity. Or in Hinduism, it's called Trimurti. And so how religion works in Hinduism. There is one God, and he sends messengers to the world. And time to time, he sends his messengers to the world. Like progressive revelation, what we Baha'is believe in. Hindus also believe in progressive revelations. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in one of the verses of Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the holy scriptures in Hinduism, and also, if you're thinking of reading one book about Hinduism, I would highly recommend reading Bhagavad Gita. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and available in most of the world languages, originally written in Sanskrit. But anyway, so in Bhagavad Gita, in one of the phrases of Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to say that in Sanskrit, and then I will try to translate that for you. So Lord Krishna says, and before I tell you that phrase, if you don't know about Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna's sermon to Arjuna. So Lord Krishna is, this is during a battle where Arjuna is supposed to fight the forces of evil, but he's hesitant, and Lord Krishna gave him his sermon. And that sermon is the revelation of God. The messenger of God, that is Lord Krishna, presenting revelation of God to Arjuna, his follower. So anyway, Lord Krishna in one of the verses of Bhagavad Gita says that Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamayam paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita dharam sanstapna arthaya sambhavani yuge yuge. That whenever there is yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat, Bharat is one of the names for Arjuna. So he says that, dear Bharat, whenever there is the decline of dharma in the world, abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamayam paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita, to protect my order and to present my will. And this is revelation of God, so he's talking about God's will. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita, to protect the good people and to destroy the evil. Dharam sanstapna arthai sambhavami yuge yuge, and to establish my order. Dharam sanstapna, to re-establish my order. Sambhavami yuge yuge, there is a possibility of me coming in every age. So this is God saying that I'm going to send messenger of God in every age to re-establish my order. So that's the progressive revelation, that God sends his messenger in every age. In Hinduism, it's called the incarnation of God, but the same idea. So am I confusing you? And if yes, of course, it's kind of difficult to understand. But two ideas, I hope I made it clear so far, is one, that Hindus do believe in one single God in his many forms, and also they believe in the progressive revelation. So in Hinduism, there's said to be 10 manifestations of God, and as a Baha'i, I believe that 10th manifestation of God is Baha'u'llah, which is described as the universal manifestation of God, or universal incarnation of God. So let's talk about some of the Hindu scriptures. You can divide Hindu scriptures mainly in two categories. One is the set of instructions for your social and spiritual life with mantras and all. And the other are the epics, or the great stories and poems, spiritual and social morals in it. So let's talk about the first category. There are three main scriptures that fall in this category. So the first one is Vedas, that is from 1500 BC. The first book of Veda is from about 1500 BC. According to Hindu belief, there is no author of Vedas. Vedas came straight from God. And then the second one is Upanishads. Upanishads dates back somewhere around 800 to 400 BC. There are several books in Upanishads, and Upanishads are basically the explanation of Vedas. And then there are Purans or Puranas. Purans provide insights into the life of ancient India, along with the genealogy of Hindu kings, heroes, and demigods. So these are three main scriptures in the first category, a set of instructions for your social and spiritual life: Vedas, Upanishads, and Purans. And then the epics. There are two main epics in Hinduism, Ramayana and Mahabharat. Ramayana is story of Lord Ram and Sita. Ram is considered as the manifestation or messenger of God. And at its core, Ramayana is a love story of Ram and Sita. Ram is considered as a perfect man, and Sita is considered as a perfect woman. And it's their love story, the story of the hardships of their life and how they defy all hardships and everything to establish the order of God, because Ram is the messenger of God, the incarnation of God. And that story has a lot of spiritual and religious themes to it. One of the beautiful story in Ramayana is when Ram eats berries given to him by Shabri. Shabri is a woman from lower caste. Ram meets Shabri. She gives him berries to eat because he's hungry. And before she gives him berries, she tastes those berries so to make sure that those berries are sweet. She doesn't want to give sour berries to Ram. And she tastes them and she gives it to Ram, and Ram eats it. And Lakshman, his brother, is confused because Shabri is from lower caste and Ram is from upper caste, Kshatriya class, and he's not supposed to eat berries from her. But here, manifestation of God, who is defying that belief in Hinduism, where people believe in caste system, and here is the messenger of God eating from the hands of someone who is considered from lower caste, to show that God doesn't believe in caste system. So that's a beautiful story from Ramayana. So Ramayana has a bunch of stories on social and spiritual themes, and it's a beautiful read. Anyway, so that's Ramayana. Now let's go to Mahabharat. That's the second epic I was talking about. Mahabharat is also a story set in poetry form. And remember, Ramayana and Mahabharata are some of the oldest written poems ever, some of the longest written poems ever in any language. So Mahabharata is a story of the battle of good versus evil. And on the evil side is Kauravas, and they are 100 brothers. And on the good side are Pandavas, who are just 5 brothers. But Lord Krishna is on their side because Lord Krishna knows that Pandavas are on the right side. So here is messenger of God siding with 5 brothers who are on the side of good, instead of these 100 brothers and their large army. And during that battle, where Lord Krishna gave his sermon to Arjun, who is one of the Pandavas, and that sermon is Bhagavad Gita. It's the 6th book. It's the 6th book in Mahabharat. And as I said, it's a beautiful book. If you have to read one book about Hinduism, this is the book to read. It provides the in-depth explanation of Hindu philosophy. So basically, here Arjun, who is hesitant to fight, because he is saying that there are a lot of people who are siding with Kauravas, who are on the side of evil, and the Hindu scriptures, old Hindu scriptures, has told him that he is not supposed to fight his gurus, his masters, or his loved ones. And Lord Krishna tells him that forget about what all the old Hindu scriptures have taught you. Listen to me. I am the messenger of God for this age. And you have to do what I am telling you to do instead of listening to all those old scriptures. So here, Lord Krishna again clarifies Arjun that scriptures are based on the age and time. And when a new messenger of God abolishes the old teachings, we should listen to the new messenger of God because his teachings are for that time and age. That's the story of Mahabharat and Bhagavad Gita. So let's talk about the 10th messenger of God, who as a Baha'i I believe is the promised one from Hinduism, and that promise is fulfilled by Baha'u'llah and by Baha'i faith. So there is not a whole lot of information about that 10th messenger, but that messenger is the same messenger of God which is described in Hindu philosophy and in Buddhist philosophy. Buddhists call him Maitreya and Hindus call him Kalki. Kalki, avatar. Avatar is a word for messenger of God. So avatar is a Sanskrit word that means messenger of God or the representation of God, which was later adopted in computer lingo, and now your digital avatars are called, and now your digital representation online is called avatar. So, the 10th avatar. In Buddhism, it's called Maitreya, and in Hinduism, it's called Kalki. And there is a lot of information about that Kalki, and if you try to read online, try to find answers, there's a lot of misinformation available. So let's go to one of the speeches by Swami Vivekanand. Swami Vivekanand is a Hindu philosopher. He's a Vedanta philosopher. He gave a speech in 1893 at the I think it was the Congress of Religion or something in 1893 in Chicago. He talks about this new world religion according to his Vedanta, based on his expertise in Vedanta philosophy. And this is what he said. If there is ever to be a universal religion, it must be one which will have no location in place or time, which will be infinite like the God it will preach, and whose sun will shine upon the followers of Krishna and Christ, on saints and sinners alike, which will not be Brahmanical or Buddhist, Christian or Mohammedan, but the sum total of all these, and still have infinite space for development. And this kind of confirms my belief that Baha'u'llah is the new messenger of God. According to Hindu philosophy, Baha'u'llah is the new messenger of God, because there is no other religion that fits this description described by Swami Vivekanand. Baha'i faith is this universal religion Swami Vivekanand is talking about. Here I also would like to mention what Mahatma Gandhi has said about Baha'i faith. And remember, Mahatma Gandhi was also an expert on Hindu philosophy, and he called Baha'i faith a solace to humankind. So, and Shoghi Effendi also talks about the promised one from Hinduism. In God Passes By, this is what Shoghi Effendi has said. So I truly believe that Baha'u'llah is the promised one from Hinduism. He is the Kalki from Hinduism, and he is the Maitreya from Buddhism. But let's have a discussion about Maitreya, the Buddhist promised one, some other day. So, to end this video, I just want to summarize what I was trying to convey. If you're talking to someone about Hinduism, remember, Hindus also believe in one God and his many forms. They believe in progressive revelation. They believe God sends his messenger in every age. They also believe in a universal manifestation of God. And who started Hinduism? Hinduism was not started by one single person. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for listening.